we got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis. Okay. It ain't gonna be no more of the mess that these wonderful fans, the student body, and some of your parents have put up with for probably 2 decades now. I'm coming. And when I get here, it's gonna be changed. So I want y'all to get ready to go ahead and jump in that portal and do whatever you're gonna get. Because the more you jump in, the more room you make. Because we bring kids that are smart, say that, smart, tough, fast, disciplined, with character. One more time. Smart, tough, fast, disciplined, with character. That's the ones we're going to get.
Welcome, guys, to the Play Action Pod. We're bringing you our 28th episode. My name is Brennan. Beside me, obviously, is Braque. And that first clip, that was a video of Deion Sanders talking to his Colorado team. Well, I'm assuming that it's probably not his team.
Yeah.
Because of the context of the video, he's kind of just saying, leave, guys, get out of here. I'm bringing my Louis bag with me. I'm bringing my boys, my dogs with me. And, if you guys leave, there's more room for me to bring more players who are going to fill your positions. So, pretty savage, I would say.
Yeah, the impact that Deion Sanders has already made on Colorado is immense. Like everybody, in Boulder is believing again. They're thinking, they're not thinking, winning the conference. They're not thinking about the playoff. They're thinking about natties.
Yeah, they are.
They think that Deion is gonna, bring them back to the glory days, and I definitely think he's going to as well. Just seeing the way he interacts with everybody in that program. Everybody was so excited to see him and so uplifted. So he might turn Colorado into something scary. Yeah.
And with, the way the game is these days, you can. Yeah. We saw kind of a sneak peek of it with USC. Mm-hmm. They were a 4-win team last year. Lincoln Riley obviously joins the program and, turns things around. They're going to be a 9 or 10 win team this year just because of the transfer portal. I don't think you come in and you take that same roster last year and he's going to have 9 wins this year. And I think the same with Deion. I don't think that he goes in there and with that 1-win Colorado team, and he turns things around quickly without, being able to get new guys in there.
Well, yeah, it was 12 hours after he was announced the head coach of Colorado. He got a 5-star recruit to commit.
Unbelievable.
The 5th in Colorado's history. So, and there's rumors that Travis Hunter's already on his way. The #1 prospect from last year's class. He's already on his way to Colorado. So he's going to be able to recruit. He's going to be able to recruit almost anybody and convince them to come to Colorado to play some football. So it's going to be scary to see what he does.
Yeah, I've heard you say that Colorado, they could be a 10-win team in maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. I think give him 2 to 3 years. And, with how the game is these days, with the transfer portal, I think he could turn things around and turn things around fast because of those resources.
Well, yeah, it was scary because he was already bringing in 4-star recruits to an FCS school. Oh, it's like if you get like a 2-star or even a 3-star at an FCS school, like
you're balling,
you're cheering. Like, that's a huge success. So he's going to be able to recruit. He's going to be able to recruit, the best of the best. And I think, with all these players that are hitting the portal, I saw the Alabama running back, Trey Sanders. He put something out on Twitter, said, "Come get me."
Oh my gosh.
Tag Deion Sanders. So it's like, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. And I don't know if you saw the video of I believe it was the athletic director who was saying that they don't have the money.
Yeah. And he's like, we'll get it somehow.
He's like, we'll get it though.
Boosters.
And they will get it,
Yeah.
That stadium's going to be sold out. Like,
oh yeah, it already was.
Yeah. Well, like even then there's going to be people that are, trying to buy tickets to like sit on people's laps.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. So,
I would.
Yeah. So
I would sit on someone's lap to watch, what Deion Sanders is going to do there.
Yeah, so it's like the money he's going to bring to the program, all he needs is just NIL backing in year 1, and the rest will pay for itself.
Yeah, which I think that he mentioned in that clip that we showed earlier, the full clip, he talked about how he's already talked to 9 or 10 boosters.
Yeah.
So, the money's coming in. I mean, Colorado is seriously going to turn things around from a 1-win team this year. Deion, that's a lot of power in a man. To be able to just go in there and be like, all right, let's turn things around right now. And he's cocky about it too.
Yeah. And
he's confident. I mean, he earns it.
Yeah.
Just because of his success at Jackson State.
Yeah. It's like, he talks it and he backs it up too.
Yeah.
So, I think they went 12-0 this year and won the SWAC. So I don't know. It's going to be really scary to see though what he can do with Colorado.
Yeah. And he still has to play in the championship coming up. He did mention that in the clip as well. So, that's going to kick things off for the episode is, talking about how Deion Sanders, we've mentioned rumors before, but, now it's official. He's there. And it'll be interesting to see how things turn around for Colorado. But it's been an eventful past weekend, obviously, with conference championship games. Selection show was on Sunday. We got to see the, who's going to the playoff. And I'm happy with who they picked.
Yep.
It makes me want a 12-team playoff as soon as possible. I wish we were getting it this year because, seeing all the matchups that we would be getting if the new playoff 12-team playoff was implemented this year. I mean, it just makes me excited for what we're going to be getting in 2024. But Georgia at 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3, Ohio State 4. I think that those are the 4 most deserving teams to be in the playoff this year. And I know that there were percentages thrown at Alabama, and I'm so glad that they didn't pick them. I mean, I think that, the college football, I don't know. I think everyone would just go crazy. Like they would be upset.
Yeah. And, I thought it was interesting because they brought on Nick Saban to talk during the Big Ten championship game. And one of his main points to why Alabama should get in is he's like, if you put us against, Michigan or us against Ohio State or us against TCU on a neutral site field, who's favored and who are you picking?
Which, I mean, he's not wrong, but that's not how it works.
Yeah. Like I get his point and he's definitely right. Like I don't think he's wrong at all, but it's like, that's not how the playoff should work,
Yeah. No,
like,
not at all.
Alabama could be 6-6 and I would pick them over most teams.
They would probably be favored in most games.
Like if you think about it this way, if they would have lost to Texas and lost to Texas A&M, like they probably should have, in those tight, close games, they'd be 8-4, and I would still take Alabama over 95% of the teams.
Yeah, which is fair.
So it's like I get where he's coming from, and I think he does have a valid point, but it's like that's not how the playoff should be, and that's why it should be expanded to 12. Because we could have seen Alabama make the playoff and win it all. That's not unrealistic to say, but I think when you're talking about the resumes of the 4 teams that are in there, they might not be the best 4 teams, but they're the most deserving 4 teams.
Absolutely.
For sure. And I think, but in this case, I think all 4 teams have a really good shot to win.
Yeah. And what just a spoiled thing to say, just being like, well, we have the best players. So, I mean, I feel like if you throw us in there, we'd be favorited and, we're the best team. Well, it's like, if you do have the best players, then why did you lose 2 games? And, you deserve to be punished for losing those games. And I understand that they were going through injuries, and he was talking about Bryce Young's health as well. But I mean, they barely beat Texas 20-19, and Quinn Ewers was out more than half the game. Mm-hmm. So for him to come out and be like, "Oh, we're the best team" and stuff, that's kind of like, I feel like it's very contradicting, because then it just all falls back on you, and it's like, well, if you were the best team, then why weren't you able to get it done in those games against Tennessee and LSU? Especially
now that LSU is a 4-loss team.
Absolutely.
Like one of Alabama's losses is to a 4-loss LSU team, So it's like, it's not like they lost to 2 teams. Like if Michigan or Ohio State had 2 losses and one of them was to say like for Ohio State's example, one of their losses was to Michigan and the other one was to Penn State. Those are 2 top 10 teams.
Yeah.
Like Alabama's losses to, top 10 Tennessee by 3 on the road. Then they lost to LSU, who's, down the rankings a little bit farther now. So it's like, I don't know. I get where Nick Saban's coming from. His expectation every year is to win a national championship. So when he's not in a position to win a national championship, it must be difficult.
Yeah.
Like it must be hard on not only him, but the program. So, but I think the committee made the right decision. I think we got the 4 most deserving teams, and I think all 4 teams generally really do have a chance to win it all.
Yeah,
which I don't think is something we could have said in past years.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is the first year where it's like I feel like anyone could win it.
Yep.
I feel like TCU could go out there. You know, we haven't seen Michigan. You know, besides the Ohio State game, I haven't seen them put together a complete game, and especially with Blake Corum out, I think that TCU could really, you know, give them a run for their money, and I think that they could escape the first round, and maybe we'll see, you know, them face Georgia or Ohio State, and same with Ohio State. I mean, they played very poor against Michigan, but we know what that offense is capable of doing, and you know, one breakout game, and they're in the second round. They're in the national championship. So, I mean, Georgia, they looked good last week. You know, the defense gave up more points than I expected, you know, at 30. But, yeah, I feel like really it's anyone's playoff to win, which I mean is great for the fans. So I'm really excited to, you know, see how things play out. But, yeah.
No, yeah, I was just going to kind of go back to Georgia for a sec. I think it's interesting that Georgia is the number 1 seed, but they didn't really get rewarded like the number 1 seed or the best team in the nation. Like,
you feel like they'd rather play TCU
or even Michigan. You know, it's like I just think Georgia matches up really well with what Michigan's going to try to do, and like we saw that last year, obviously, with, you know, them playing in the playoff. But I think, you know, the wide receivers and the quarterback play of Ohio State could cause that Georgia defense some trouble. You know, we obviously saw how they did against Hendon Hooker, and they completely shut him down with kind of, you know, similar styles. You know, good wide receiver, good quarterback play, but I think Ohio State is capable of causing Georgia some problems, especially now that they feel disrespected and feel like, you know, they have something to prove.
Yeah, and I feel like Georgia, they performed well at home, and I think that the game against Tennessee, I think their defense really fed off of, you know, the crowd's energy. It was one of the most highly anticipated games of the year. I know that you said it was game of the century.
Yeah,
so I think that could have been.
But if Tennessee would have played that day. Yeah,
if Tennessee would have shown up, it would have been a game of the century. But, you know, neutral site, we saw LSU put up 30 points against a defense that we thought was unstoppable, a defense full of, you know, NFL talent. And, you know, maybe we'll see that next week when, you know, Ohio State, who I think has a better offense than LSU, you know, how are they going to slow them down? And, you know, will they be successful on the offensive side as well?
Yeah, I guess the one thing that Georgia does have going for them, though, is it is technically a home game when they play, because they'll be playing in, you know, Mercedes-Benz, which they've now played in 3 times.
3 times this year?
This will be the 3rd time, yep.
Because the SEC championship was there?
And they opened up with
Oregon.
So
this is their home field.
They're very familiar playing in this stadium. So I think that'll be tough for Ohio State. But I think in Ohio State's kind of perspective, I think they're glad that they don't have to travel to Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, like that's definitely going to be a home game for TCU. So I expect a lot of Michigan fans to travel too. But I think a lot of TCU fans will make the trip from Texas to Arizona, where Ohio State only has to make the trip from, you know, Columbus down to Atlanta. Yeah. So I don't know. I think we got, you know, 2 really good matchups, and I think, you know, they both bring to the table, you know, something different.
Yeah. So, and, you know, 2 facts that I want to point out about this year's playoff is this is the first time that Alabama and Clemson were excluded. And this is the first time that we get a team from Texas in the playoff in TCU. So, you know, a couple things pretty interesting, you know? Yeah. First time that we don't see Bama and Clemson. I mean, Clemson, they balled out, you know? Once they finally had the guts to bench DJ and let the young guy go in and work his magic, you know, they played extremely well against North Carolina and blew them out. I mean, 39-10. That was ridiculous. And I know that I picked North Carolina, but not my brightest moment. But, you know, I was impressed with you know, how Clemson played. And it's interesting, you know, if Cade Klubnik has played all year, I wonder if, you know, maybe Clemson's a playoff team this year.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely a conversation for sure. And I think for Dabo, it was just always tough to throw the young freshman in there while you have like this experienced, you know, quarterback who has been in tough positions before. So I don't blame him for not throwing him in immediately, but I think at some point in the season he should have kind of seen where DJ was going, and it wasn't necessarily getting better week to week. So I think that's when he should have just kind of put in the youngster and say, finish it out for us. But I don't know. It's a tough position because you really don't want to make a quarterback change when, they were 8-0 or so at some point. Yeah. So it's like you're 8-0, your quarterback's technically winning you games. You don't really want to make a change because that kind of sets a negative kind of mindset. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Cade does, against Tennessee in that Orange Bowl game.
The Orange Bowl. The best
literally
Orange Bowl
the
ever.
Orange Bowl.
Literally the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, literally the Orange Bowl.
We're going to find out who's the orangest in the orange.
And it would be absolutely disgraceful if anybody walks into that stadium not wearing orange. Like if you walk in like a white Tennessee shirt, like stop it. Go home.
I don't want to see a speck of any other color.
I want to see just straight orange.
I just want to see, they better paint the seats orange. Everything better be orange. I mean, make the turf orange at that point.
It's the Orange Bowl.
So who's going to get to wear orange? Who's higher ranked? Tennessee? Tennessee's higher ranked.
Tennessee and their orange.
So
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't think about that until now because they'll have the rights to pick the jerseys first. So I'm assuming, it'll be confusing. So now they're watching. I would be disappointed if Clemson wore their purple.
Yeah,
they might have to.
Yeah, I would hope not.
I just want to see orange everywhere, and it should be good. Should be a great game.
I think I saw on Twitter a post of someone's like they should both wear orange.
Yeah,
like why not?
Yeah, why not?
Just like have 20 interceptions because you can't tell who's who. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Cade does, against Tennessee. Obviously, they got a backup quarterback of their own.
Backup versus backup
in Milton. So, that should be an interesting matchup. Obviously Tennessee had playoff aspirations, and I'd say the same for Clemson. But I think to win an Orange Bowl and win a New Year's Six Bowl going into next year, especially with two young quarterbacks that are going to be taking over, I think it's a great way to build momentum for both teams to kind of get into the next season.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of skipped over Friday night.
Oh yeah,
that being the Pac-12 championship, Utah versus USC. Utah, they're going to make their second appearance on the Rose Bowl in a row and second ever against Penn State, which is the first matchup between those two teams in history. We went to Vegas where we were at Allegiant, got to experience the game in person. And, how about you share a little bit about your experience at Allegiant?
Yeah, back-to-back years. I went to the game last year against Oregon, had a very good experience. And then obviously, this year had a very good experience. But, there's something about a championship game in Las Vegas. It's just, it's the city, it's the lights, it's, that stadium is beautiful.
I love that stadium.
So beautiful. And then especially the opponent too this year, like seemed like the Oregon team that Utah played last year was, I don't want to discredit them in any ways, but it just seemed like they weren't really prepared for the game or mentally there. USC was playing for it all though. They really started that way too. And I think there was even a point in the game where, I turned to a couple of the people that we went with and I was like, I think that's it. I think that's game. I thought USC was going to pull away and turn into a blowout, but Utah really fought back and obviously ended up extending their lead towards the end of the game and sending them back to the Rose Bowl, which was a huge goal of that football team this year.
Yeah. And essentially eliminating USC from the playoff single-handedly by beating them twice.
Yep.
But do we still think Caleb Williams is going to win the Heisman? They came out with the finalists.
Yeah, I'd say after
four quarterbacks.
After seeing the finalists, I think so. Yeah.
Stroud, Duggan. Was it Hooker?
Stetson
Bennett.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Stroud, Duggan, Caleb. Stetson, and Caleb.
Wow.
So
Bryce Young was getting a lot of, high expectations on him to win back to back, and he's not even a finalist.
Yeah.
So
it just shows how hard it is.
If you told me that Stetson Bennett was going to be a finalist, if you said that at the beginning of the year and told me that Bryce Young wasn't going to be a finalist, I'd be like, shut up. Yeah. What are you talking about? But he's able to throw quick slants to 6'7" receivers.
At 25 years old?
At 25 years old, he's older than Lamar Jackson. And he's walking around like he's got that billionaire walk. He's walking around like he's Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's won every game this season. He shocked me last week with his performance. So we'll see how that carries on, and we'll see who essentially wins the Heisman. But I think that we both agree that Caleb Williams will win it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because he didn't play terrible against Utah.
And
I mean, the end was kind of ugly with all the sacks and stuff, but I mean, he was basically playing on one leg.
I'd say he's going to get that excuse.
Yeah.
Which they'll be like, well, he did, I think he put up like 3 touchdowns on a torn hamstring or a pulled hamstring or whatever it was. But
gutsiest performance I've ever seen.
That's what they say.
That's what Lincoln Riley said in the presser. He said, that's what they say. That was the gutsiest performance I've ever seen. Yeah. And I think he referred to his injury as like a broken rubber or an old rubber band that just snapped.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could be true, but I don't know. It didn't really seem that way. I'm not gonna sit here and just bash on Caleb Williams all night.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people maybe lost respect for him. With the way he's been acting, with the fingernail paint stuff. Disrespecting opponents, and he's just got a big ego, and his reputation is not the best. But dude's been balling. He's been getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but I saw on Twitter that the reason he kind of does paint his fingernails is because his mom has a fingernail painting business.
Oh,
so he does that to kind of support her, I guess, which kind of, it opened my eyes to it a little bit more. I'm like, okay, I guess that's kind of cool, but
I wonder if she's doing that for her clients.
Yeah.
Just being like, all right, who do you hate the most?
Yeah.
And then that's maybe that's her business.
I don't know.
It's just the hater fingernail painting business.
Yeah,
you just walk in and just be like, all right, I'm really pissed at my coworker. Her name is Rachel. So just,
slap it on
there. F Rachel.
So,
but I didn't know that. Where'd you see that?
It was on Twitter.
It was on Twitter. Okay.
Somebody, I don't know, it was a USC fan that put it in his comments. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah. He could be trying to save his boy.
Yeah. That's just per sources.
Yeah.
So.
Per sources. Yeah, exactly. But let's see. We talked about, Kansas State. They beat TCU, which granted them a position in the Sugar Bowl, but I think that they were going to be there regardless.
Yep.
But they balled. And, there was a couple controversial calls there at the end, especially at the goal line on that last try for TCU. But, Kansas State was able to get it done and ruin TCU's perfect season. But, TCU didn't budge in the rankings. And I think that is appropriate, as their one loss being to Kansas State on a neutral site who they've already beat earlier in the year. So Kansas State, they'll be playing Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. So that's what went down there. Georgia beat LSU. I know that. Michigan and Purdue. Michigan, there was a bit of a scare there at the beginning, kind of how every Michigan game has gone this season is, it's like, oh, well, they might get upset here. And then second half, it's a whole different story because, they finally decide to play. But got the win against Purdue. And they'll be playing Purdue will be playing in the Citrus Bowl, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Purdue will be taking on LSU, right? Or who they got? LSU in the Citrus Bowl. Okay, so that's not a New Year's Six Bowl. But
I don't believe so. It's on
New Year's.
Technically, well, I guess January 2nd this year, but it's not. I don't believe it's considered a New Year's Six.
Yeah.
So
that should still be a good matchup. I mean, it's not technically a New Year's Six bowl game, but should be a good one to look out for. Who does North Carolina have? I'm curious.
They have the Eugene Ducks.
The Oregon. Eugene Ducks, another good one.
And apparently Bo Nix going to play in that bowl.
He will.
Game. So
does he have another year of eligibility?
I think so.
He does.
So we'll get the Bo Nix times Drake May matchup.
Ooh,
so that'll be a pretty good one.
That'll be a good one if hopefully Bo will be healthy by then.
Yeah.
All right. So other news. There's a couple quarterbacks that hit the portal, right?
Yeah, big time quarterbacks. We obviously will start with Cade McNamara. He was the backup at Michigan, but was the starter the year previous. He hit the portal and he kind of like dipped in and then dipped right back out, nice and quick. So I think he announced his intentions to transfer a little bit last week, and then a couple days later, he announced that he committed to Iowa.
Yeah.
So, that was a big time quarterback transfer. And then obviously we have Devin Leary from NC State, who is entering the portal. And I think that's going to be a big get for somebody. He's got a lot of experience. He was obviously, part of that NC State team that was, projected to maybe make a run to the college football playoff. So
yeah, a lot of people had them in the top 4.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, maybe we'll see NC State in the playoff this year. Obviously things didn't play out that way, but, a little disappointing for them, but I'm sure that played a factor into, why he wants to transfer.
Yeah. So, Devin Leary is going to be a big time get for whoever can grab him. And then, a couple others is, Keaton Slovis entering the transfer portal again, obviously transferred from USC to Pitt, now going from Pitt to elsewhere. So we'll have to see where he lands. And this is
his third transfer.
Yeah, this is gonna be his third transfer.
My goodness.
So
he can't make up his mind.
Yeah, he's been, all around everywhere. Yeah. So
he just walks into compliance and he's like, I already know how to do this. Yeah. Starts filling out the paperwork. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I've done this a couple times. I've been here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm familiar with this whole process. Yeah. But yeah, along with him, we have Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. Decided his intentions to transfer as well. And then the last kind of notable one so far is, or I guess the last 2 notable ones, DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson, former 5-star recruit. He's going to hit the portal, probably heading out west is what we think.
Yeah.
Wants to play with or potentially team up with his younger brother, who's currently a 5-star recruit right now. So be interesting to see, where he ends up. And then the last kind of big one is Hudson Card from Texas.
That's right.
So, another big time Texas transfer at QB.
Yeah. A lot of players a couple of them being that are seeing the bench, or they're seeing kind of the future of the program and the position that they were in. And they were like, I don't think I'm going to get that much playing time. I don't want to waste my time trying to compete with these guys. I want to take advantage of these years that I have in college of eligibility. And, we'll see if someone wants to pick me up. And obviously things change fast. I mean, Nick Mara was picked up off the shelves very quickly. So I expect that from the rest of these guys. I think that they're great quarterbacks, including DJ, who we've been critical of him all year. I don't think that he liked being on the bench this last game in the ACC championship. But he's going to get his shot somewhere else, and he'll definitely get some time. I know there's a lot of teams out there that want him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams too that are going to have a problem with, senior kind of quarterbacks or even quarterbacks heading to the draft, and maybe they don't want to put their trust in a young freshman.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll just try to insert a player like DJ who has the experience and can be like a 1-year rental until that young kid is ready to go again.
1-year rental. That's hilarious.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to kind of see where all these QBs end up at.
Yeah. And Hudson Card, I mean, we get Manning in a couple of years. Or is that next year?
Yeah.
This upcoming year?
Yeah. So he's coming in.
He's coming in this next year. And I mean, Quinn, he's obviously proven to be that guy there when he's healthy. So, I mean, Card hitting the portal, it does make sense. So, yeah, like you said, it would be interesting to see where these guys land, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated because I think starting next episode, it's just going to be full portal. At least episode 29 will be a full portal episode. And, during the off season to keep us busy, we're going to keep you guys updated with, how things are going in the transfer portal, who's going to be entering the draft, everything. So, I mean, stay tuned during the off season. We'll be putting out content for you guys. And I think on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. It was our 28th episode, conference championship week. It was great. It was, it was everything we asked for. And, playoffs and bowl season is coming up soon. So, I mean, we're going to be prepping episodes for you guys so you guys are prepared for those games. But, I think that's going to wrap things up. Make sure to follow our socials. We're basically on everything. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on, this is YouTube, but Spotify, am I missing? Apple Podcasts.
Apple Pod.
And Instagram, of course. Yeah, Instagram. So everything will be the Play Action Pod, except for Twitter. It'll be Play Action Pods because the character limit for the name. So we're working on getting that changed, but for now it's Play Action Pods. And, Braque spends a good time on Twitter. He's putting out polls. He's talking about, breaking news and stuff like that. So if you want to be updated on Twitter, then you make sure to follow that account. But I think that's going to wrap things up for episode 28. So we'll see you guys soon.